Hi, I'm Mary. I live in Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma City area, and I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in August 2021. I had been pre-diabetic for many, many years, but never understood really how important that was. I just put on metformin forever. I've been diabetic since 21. August 2019, 2 years before I was diagnosed. My husband and I had been to a senior presentation that had a neurologist on board, a neurosurgeon, and he presented blue zones and the idea of a plant based diet. Within about a week, my husband came home from work and said, "Let's do this." And I jumped on board. We had no idea how that would impact our lives, but we started learning. And over the next 6 to 9 months, I noticed a change. We all both noticed change in energy, but I noticed a change in that I would have some, what I have now found out were hypoglycemic lows, and even on the metformin. And I consulted with a medical professional, not my specific doctor, but someone that I trusted. And I just decided, after talking to them, to cut my metformin in half, which I would never tell anybody to do that specifically, but this did work for me. And maybe if I had talked to my own doctor, she would have said that. I cut it in half, and I went along a couple months without lows, and then start getting lows again and cut it in half again. Well, by the time 9 months came around, I had dropped my A1C from 6.5, then to 6.2, then to 5.9, and I was off metformin and I went down to 5.6. So I was doing the Mastering Diabetes plan sort of without even knowing it. But then COVID hit, and during the pandemic, I took care of a 90-plus-year-old mother who wanted McDonald's every day, and I partook in some of it because I wasn't seeing her every day. We got her into assisted living eventually, but by the time I could see my physician again, um, I was at A1C 6.6 and officially diabetic, and I said, I'm going back to whole food plant based, and I found Mastering Diabetes within a week of that event. I got my first uh, blood sugar meter and started checking my own sugars. And it's been a great journey ever since. I have a scientific background. My profession was as a registered medical technologist. We're now called clinical laboratory scientists. And so they do all the testing, chemistry, hematology, urinalysis, microbiology. And microbiology was my thing, but that's beside the point. That I knew about getting published, improving things by science. And when I checked the book out at the library and started seeing all of the references and start checking references. And then, of course, my training, I learned Krebs cycle and all kinds of things about how things happen in the body. And then based on that, I thought, this is science. This is what works. This makes total sense to me. And that's what I try to tell people if they question, well, why in the world would you do this? Oh, the worst part is that I have a son who lives here and his wife and a couple of kids, and they were, oh, and slowly somehow our meals together changed and didn't occur as frequently. And they do try to uh, ask something about, well, if we're going to do this, do you want to bring something, that you can eat or what? So that's hard, but we keep working on it and it'll get better. And the hardest part is seeing family and friends that would benefit so much And my why for doing this was taking care of my dad, who had diabetes and COPD and AFib, and I can't even remember, congestive heart failure. And he died at 82, 10 years ago. So my mother has far outlived him. She hasn't had near the kinds of problems he has. So the coaching program was really invaluable. I was on it, the small group coaching with Natalie for probably about 8 months. And then I decided maybe I couldn't afford that. And I did the large group twice a month. And then I felt lost. So then the opportunity came up to do a year long, and I got back in that group with Natalie, fortunately. And that was very comforting. But yeah, the things being tailored more to each individual person, and yet within the group you found common bonds, and so you could encourage one another. When one was down, you could encourage them, and then they encouraged me and said, and progress, not perfection, is the term we like to use, of course. And it's just been a really valuable tool to set me up now for going forward on my own. I would say that the cost can seem insurmountable, but the trade-off, and with me being an older person and on a limited income, um, I had to decide if I was going to spend a lot of money in the future for a lot of medical care versus helping myself be proactive to um, keep those possible conditions off of my plate, to have diabetes gone or hopefully manageable. I'm still on no medication, and I'm not cured yet. I see that as a possibility that, I've had, life gets in the way. I've had 2 knee surgeries since I went plant-based, and just had another surgery for another um, condition. And I don't see any further ones in my future, but they take um, some time to adjust to. But I also think that the way I eat helped me tremendously. And my husband could feed me the way that I needed to be fed to recover and heal. It's just from the beginning, eating plant based uh, gives you more energy. You don't get that heavy weight down feeling from all those fats, oils getting into your system. We're not perfect, but we keep on trying. We had to go an hour's drive north to Little League games yesterday, and checked restaurants ahead of time. Didn't really have time to put together a meal this one time. So we ate somewhere where everything that we ate was plant based, but it had too much oil. And sometimes you have to readjust, and just eat better the rest of the day and restart the next day. But those types of things you keep learning from and what you could have done differently. Because I had dropped my A1C to 5.6, and based on what I was reading in the book, that I could actually reverse type 2 diabetes with this way of eating in the Mastering Diabetes program. And the first time I didn't understand about the fat nearly as much, but it makes perfect sense. So the main goal was try to reverse, do my best to reverse type 2 diabetes and not be in a situation where my family had to go through what I went through caring for my dad and keeping that as one of my whys. I didn't want to have those extra conditions he had and not enjoy life because he lived life really large. And because he did that, he overindulged in so many things that eventually are what part of what killed him. So I don't want to be that way. I want to live life large in a different way. My numbers keep going down. That's probably the biggest measure. And then I constantly feel really good when I'm right on target, eating the way that I should be. And if I have a slip up and then I I'm kind of sluggish today, what's the deal? And then I remind myself, well, you could have done better. Don't beat yourself up, but yeah, next time, what could you do? Try to think of things that way. Um, just really only recently, I've been working on some meditation, and that's beginning to help some of those stresses. But I need to begin to work on that more. And there's so many avenues for doing some of that. I'm a very spiritual person anyway, and so that can all go together. And once I got my knees done, it has been a joy to go on a walk. And I used to not be able to go. It would just depend on any given day if I could go a mile or just up the block and back. And now I can go more than a mile if I wanted to. So getting out and being able to be active again and go on vacations. My husband and I went on a cruise this last February. No problem whatsoever. It was wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We didn't, a couple of years before when I was still having issues with my knees. So, well, I remember saying to my group the last time I was with them that um, one of the things you have to remember to do is to just you do you. Everybody's journey is going to be a little different, but it doesn't mean you can't learn from the other people around you, from Mastering Diabetes, from other resources. I found Mastering Diabetes from the Forks Over Knives website. And I recommend when I'm on Facebook and I see somebody on FOK asking what to do, I say, well, check out this program too. It's another resource. Keep looking for the resources that you need to get where you want to go. And don't compare yourself to everybody else. Just do what you can do and keep trying to do better. Keep looking for the resources that you need to get where you want to go. And don't compare yourself to everybody else. Just do what you can do and keep trying to do better.